The first thing I heard after the crash was a man shouting, "Ma'am, don't move." Pain cut through my chest when I tried to answer. "My husband," I said. "Call my husband." The stranger found my phone under the passenger seat and pressed Ethan's name. He answered on the fourth ring. "Claire, I'm working." "I know. I've been in an accident." "What kind?" "A truck hit me. I can't get out. My chest hurts. And my stomach." "Are you conscious?" "Yes." "Can you move your hands and feet?" "I think so. But then wait for the paramedics." "Ethan, I'm scared. I'm in the ER. I have a patient." The line went dead. The stranger stared at the phone. "That was your husband." "He's a doctor," I whispered. The paramedics arrived minutes later. A woman named Denise cut my seat belt while her partner checked my blood pressure. "Where does it hurt most?" "My left side. My stomach feels tight." Denise looked at the monitor. "Pressure's dropping." I grabbed her wrist. "Take me to ST. Matthew, that's not the closest trauma center. My husband works there. Please." I still believed seeing Ethan would make everything better. By the time they rolled me into ST, Matthew, every breath hurt. A nurse leaned over me. "Claire Sullivan?" "Yes." "My husband is Dr. Ethan Sullivan. He's on shift. I'll let him know." I waited in the hallway. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. "Has Dr. Sullivan been told?" I asked a passing nurse. "He knows you're here." "Then where is he?" "He's with another patient. Please tell him my stomach is getting worse." A few minutes later, I heard Ethan behind a half-closed curtain. "You should have called me sooner." A woman coughed. "I thought it was just a cold," she said. Then my chest started feeling tight. I knew that voice. Vanessa Blake worked in the hospital foundation office. 3 months earlier, she had complimented my wedding ring at a charity dinner. I pushed myself upright and looked through the opening. Vanessa sat on a bed with a blanket around her shoulders. Ethan stood beside her, rubbing her back. "You're going to be fine," he said. "You promise?" "I promise." She smiled at him like he belonged to her. "Ethan," I called. He turned. Surprise crossed his face, then irritation. "What are you doing sitting up?" "I've been waiting for you. You're being monitored." "I'm lying in a hallway." He stepped outside the curtain. "Claire, Vanessa may have pneumonia. My stomach is getting worse. Your vitals were stable when you arrived." The paramedic said my pressure was dropping. "I'll check your chart when I'm done." "You haven't checked it?" "I'm treating someone. She has a cold." Vanessa's face tightened. Ethan lowered his voice. "Don't diagnose my patient. You told me to wait after a truck hit me. But she coughs twice and gets you at her bedside? That's enough." "No, it isn't." Vanessa touched his sleeve. "Go take care of Claire. I don't want to cause trouble." Her hand stayed on him. Ethan looked at her, then at me. "Claire, stop making this personal. It became personal when you chose her. I'm doing my job. Then do your job on me." Pain ripped through my abdomen. I tried to stand, but the floor shifted. A man in navy scrubs caught me. "Get a trauma bed," he ordered. Ethan stepped forward. "Noah." She was stable. The doctor holding me looked at him. "She's gray and barely responsive. Did you examine her?" Ethan didn't answer. "Doctor." Noah Bennett looked down at me. "Claire, where's the worst pain?" "My stomach." He pressed beneath my ribs. I cried out. "Fast exam. Page surgery." Ethan frowned. "That seems excessive." Noah stared at him. "Then explain why your wife's abdomen is filling with blood." A nurse cut open my blouse. Another placed oxygen over my face. "Free fluid." Noah said, "What's her pressure?" 78/46. I reached for Ethan. He stood near the doorway. "Come with me," I said. Then Vanessa called from behind the curtain. "Ethan?" He looked toward her. That was the moment I understood. My husband looked at his bleeding wife and his mildly sick lover, and his body turned toward her. Noah leaned over me. "Claire, you're bleeding internally. We need to operate." Am I going to die? Not if we move now. I looked past him. Did you hear that, Ethan? His face went pale. Claire, you said I was fine. I made a judgment based on the information I had. No, you made a choice. The anesthesia. Nurse began pushing my bed. Ethan reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Don't. Claire, this is not the time. It was the time when I called you from the car. Behind us. Noah asked him, "How did you miss this?" Ethan replied, "She was talking. I thought she was being dramatic." Those were the last words I heard before everything went dark. When I woke up, my abdomen felt torn apart. A nurse named Kayla checked my monitor. "You're in recovery. Surgery went well." My husband, her expression answered first. "Doctor, Sullivan left about an hour ago." "With Vanessa?" Kayla looked down. "Yes." Hours later, Ethan finally entered my room. "You scared me," he said. "I scared you? You lost a lot of blood. Because you ignored me. I didn't ignore you. You were triaged. You never examined me. I was handling another case. Vanessa had a cold. She reported chest tightness, and I reported being hit by a truck." He rubbed his face. "This is why doctors shouldn't treat family. You expected me to abandon a patient because you're my wife. I expected you to notice I was dying. You weren't dying." Noah said another 30 minutes could have killed me. Bennett likes to dramatize things. I stared at him. He wasn't sorry. He was defending himself. "Why did you leave with her?" "She was upset. I had emergency surgery. You were unconscious." His smartwatch lit up when he reached for the water pitcher. "Vanessa, thank you for choosing me tonight. I love you." Ethan covered the screen too late. "How long?" I asked. "Claire, it's not what you think. How long have you been sleeping with her?" He stared at the floor. That silence hurt more than the incision. I pressed the call button. A nurse answered. "Can I help you?" "Yes." "Please ask security to escort Dr. Sullivan out." Ethan's head lifted. "You're not serious." "I've never been more serious. You're medicated." "I know exactly what I'm saying." He stepped closer. "We'll discuss this at home." "There is no discussion. You don't end a marriage over one bad night." I pointed toward the door. "This marriage didn't end because of one bad night." I held his gaze. "It ended because, when I was bleeding, you heard me call your name, and you chose her anyway." Ethan returned the next morning, carrying coffee and a paper bag from my favorite bakery. He set them beside the bed as if breakfast could erase the night before. "You can't have coffee yet," I said. "I know. I just thought the smell might make you feel better." "It doesn't." He pulled the chair closer. "Claire, we need to talk before hospital administration gets involved." I almost laughed, but the movement hurt my ribs. "You didn't come to see how I'm doing." "Of course I did. You came because you're afraid someone will ask why an ER doctor ignored his wife's internal bleeding." His jaw tightened. "I didn't ignore you. You keep saying that like repetition will make it true." Ethan glanced toward the door, then lowered his voice. "Vanessa's message looked bad. It looked honest. She was emotional. She said she loved you. Vanessa says things when she's scared. And what do you say when you're sleeping with her?" His eyes hardened. "Nothing happened last night." That wasn't my question. He stood and paced once before stopping near the window. "It started 4 months ago." My throat tightened, but I forced myself to look at him. "How many times?" "Claire, don't do this. How many times did you leave our bed and go to hers?" "It wasn't like that." "Then explain what it was like." He rubbed the back of his neck. "I felt invisible at home." I stared at him. "You felt invisible?" "We barely talked anymore. You worked 14-hour shifts. When you came home, you went straight to your phone. Because every conversation with you became a complaint. I asked you to have dinner with me. You made me feel guilty for working. I paid your bills during residency. I packed meals for your overnight shifts. I canceled vacations because you were on call. Don't tell me I punished you for being a doctor. That's not what I meant." "It's exactly what you meant. You want me to accept that your affair happened because I failed you. Ethan sat again. I made a mistake. No, you made hundreds of decisions. You texted her. You met her. You lied to me. You touched her while I was 20 feet away asking for help. He looked down. I'm sorry. It was the apology I had wanted all night. It felt empty when it finally arrived. The door opened, and Noah Bennett stepped inside with a tablet. Am I interrupting? Yes. Ethan said. No. I said at the same time. Noah looked at me. Your labs are improving. We'll keep monitoring your hemoglobin, but the bleeding is controlled. When can I go home? Probably in 2 or 3 days. You'll need help for at least a couple of weeks. I'll take care of her, Ethan said. I turned to Noah. Can my friend Rachel pick me up instead? Ethan's face changed. Claire. Noah kept his attention on me. That's your decision. After he checked my incision, I asked, Dr. Bennett, was I stable when I arrived? Ethan interrupted. This isn't appropriate. Noah looked at him. She's asking about her own medical condition. Then he answered me. No, your blood pressure was dangerously low, and you had signs of abdominal trauma. Could an ER doctor have missed that? Claire, Ethan warned. Noah paused before speaking. A physician should have ordered an immediate trauma assessment. Ethan stood. You weren't there when she came in. I reviewed the timeline. What timeline? I asked. Noah handed me the tablet. A note in my chart said I had declined immediate imaging and requested to wait for my husband. I never said that. Ethan's voice was calm. Too calm. You were confused after the accident. I remember everything. You were in shock. The note says I refused a CT scan at 7:48. I didn't speak to a doctor until after 8. Noah said, the entry was added after your surgery. I looked at Ethan. Did you write this? I completed my documentation. You wrote that I refused treatment. You kept insisting on seeing me. That isn't the same thing. You were difficult to assess. I was bleeding. Noah took the tablet back. This discussion needs to happen with patient relations. Ethan turned on him. Stay out of my marriage. This isn't about your marriage. It's a medical record. After Noah left, Ethan shut the door. You need to be careful. Is that a threat? It's advice. If you accuse me of altering a chart, the hospital will open an investigation. Good. You don't understand what that means. It means someone might finally ask why you treated Vanessa's cold while your wife went into shock. He leaned over the bed. My promotion review is next month. One complaint could destroy everything I've worked for. You almost destroyed everything I had, but you survived. The words landed between us. I watched him realize too late that he had said them again. You really believe that makes it okay? I whispered. No. I'm saying we can handle this privately. How? The hospital may contact you. Tell them you asked to wait for me. Tell them you didn't realize how serious your injuries were. You want me to lie. I want you to clarify. You changed my chart, and now you want me to support the lie. His expression sharpened. I protected you for 7 years. From what? From your anxiety, your impulsive decisions, your family's financial problems. My father's trust paid half the down payment on our house, and my income paid the mortgage. My business paid it during your fellowship. Why are you turning this into a financial argument? Because you're rewriting our marriage the same way you rewrote my chart. He stepped back. We'll talk when the medication wears off. I pressed the call button. You should leave. Stop throwing me out every time you're angry. I'm not angry, Ethan. I'm done protecting you. He left without taking the coffee. That afternoon, Rachel Morgan walked into my room, carrying a legal pad and the expression she used when someone had made the mistake of underestimating her. I came as your friend, she said, but I brought my lawyer brain. I need both. I told her everything, the affair, the delay, the altered note, and Ethan's request that I lie. Rachel didn't interrupt until I finished. Do you want a divorce? 7 years of memories pressed against that question. Our courthouse wedding because Ethan couldn't afford a ceremony. The apartment where the heater broke every winter. The night he matched into emergency medicine and cried against my shoulder. The promises I had believed. Then I remembered him turning toward Vanessa while I collapsed. Yes, Rachel took my hand carefully. Then we start before he realizes you're serious. She asked for access to our bank accounts and credit cards. Within an hour, she found hotel charges, restaurant bills, and repeated parking payments near Vanessa's apartment. 8 months, Rachel said. He told me 4. That's usually how it works. They admit only what you can already prove. There were charges for jewelry, a weekend in Milwaukee, and a $1,200 resort payment from the weekend Ethan claimed he was attending a medical conference. I stared at the screen. He forgot our anniversary that weekend. Rachel closed the laptop. Claire, you don't have to keep looking today. I do. I spent years wondering what I was doing wrong. I need to see what he was doing instead. The next day, Ethan's mother arrived. Diane Sullivan kissed my forehead, then immediately said, "You're not going to report him, are you? Not how are you feeling? Not does it hurt?" I said, "Your son could have killed me. He made a mistake under pressure. He chose his girlfriend." Diane looked toward the door. "Keep your voice down." "Why? People know who Ethan is." "Yes, that's the problem." She sat beside me. He spent more than a decade becoming a doctor. One emotional decision shouldn't cost him his career. I lost my spleen. And thank God you're alive. I pulled my hand away when she tried to touch me. You sound exactly like him. Marriage requires forgiveness. Did Ethan tell you about the affair? Her silence answered me. You knew. He said he was confused. How long have you known? A few weeks. And you never called me. It wasn't my place. But now it's your place to ask me to lie? Diane's mouth tightened. A wife protects her husband. I did. For 7 years. You'll regret destroying your family. No. I regret how long I helped Ethan pretend we had one. Rachel filed the divorce petition that afternoon. 3 days later, Ethan received the papers during a hospital reception celebrating his nomination for deputy medical director. He came home before the event was over. I was staying in the guest room because climbing the stairs hurt. He walked in holding the documents. You had me served at work? I didn't choose the location. The process server found you there. You humiliated me in front of my department. You brought your mistress into the ER while I was bleeding. This is insane. No, this is a divorce. He threw the papers onto the coffee table. You're ending 7 years over one night. I'm ending 7 years because that night showed me what they meant to you. You think Bennett will want you after this? I stared at him. This isn't about Noah. Don't insult me. He's been hovering around you since surgery. He saved my life. And now you're looking at him like he's a hero. He did what any decent doctor should have done. Ethan's face twisted. You're going to regret making me your enemy. For the first time, his anger didn't make me afraid. I picked up the divorce papers and placed them back in his hands. I survived a truck hitting my car. Then I looked directly at the man I had once trusted more than anyone. I'll survive you too. 2 days after Ethan received the divorce papers, my debit card was declined at the pharmacy. The cashier tried again. I'm sorry. No. It says insufficient funds. That can't be right. I opened our banking app. The joint checking account had held more than $40,000 that morning. Now it showed $312. I called Ethan from the parking lot. Where's the money? I moved it. You emptied our account? I protected it. From whom? From you. I tightened my grip on the phone. Put it back. You filed for divorce while taking prescription painkillers. I'm not letting you make reckless financial decisions. The medication was prescribed because I had emergency surgery. You've been emotional since the crash. You mean since I discovered your affair. I mean you're not thinking clearly. I heard Vanessa's voice behind him. Are you coming back? I went still. She's with you? That's irrelevant. You're stealing our money while sitting beside your mistress. I'm not stealing anything. Half of it is mine. You took all of it. We can discuss this through our attorneys. He hung up. Rachel answered on the first ring. He drained the checking account. I said, "How much?" "Over 40,000. Check savings." The savings account was almost empty too. He took that one as well. Rachel cursed. "Can he do this?" I asked. "He can try. Send me screenshots. Don't call him again." He said, "I'm unstable because of my medication." That's not random. He's building a story. What kind of story? The kind where you're an irrational wife abusing pain pills, draining accounts, sleeping with his coworker, and trying to destroy a respected physician. I'm not sleeping with Noah. I know. Ethan doesn't need it to be true. He only needs people to repeat it. That afternoon, Rachel filed for an emergency financial restraining order. The next morning, Ethan's attorney sent us a letter claiming I posed a risk to marital assets because of post-traumatic emotional instability and possible opioid dependency. I read the sentence twice. He called me an addict. Rachel slid another page across her desk. He attached part of your prescription history. My name, dosage, and refill dates were printed beneath the accusation. How did he get this? Was he involved in your care? No. Noah was my surgeon. Then Ethan accessed records he had no reason to view. He's my husband. That doesn't give him permission. I thought about all the times Ethan had told me my anxiety was excessive. Every time I questioned him, he had used his medical authority to make me doubt myself. You're tired. You're overreacting. That medication is making you emotional. Now he had put the same words into legal documents. Rachel tapped the page. This helps us more than it helps him. How? Because he just admitted he accessed protected medical information and used it in a divorce. He'll say he was worried about me. Of course he will. Men like Ethan always call control concern. We requested a complete audit of everyone who had opened my hospital chart. The report arrived the next day. Ethan had accessed it 9 times after my discharge. He had also printed my medication list. Rachel looked almost pleased. He's either arrogant or stupid. He's used to people believing him. Then let's introduce him to documentation. That evening, someone knocked on the door of Rachel's apartment, where I had been staying. I expected a delivery. Vanessa stood outside. Her makeup couldn't hide that she had been crying. "I need to talk to you." "I don't." "Please." "Ethan doesn't know I'm here." "That doesn't make this better." She glanced down the hallway. 5 minutes. Rachel stepped beside me. "You can speak in front of my attorney." Vanessa swallowed. "Fine." She sat across from us and held her purse against her stomach. "I didn't know you were seriously hurt that night. You watched me collapse. Ethan told me you faint when you're upset. I've never fainted in my life. He said you had panic attacks. I don't." Vanessa looked away. "What else did he tell you?" I asked. "That your marriage was over." I laughed once. "Did he mention that to me?" "He said you were only together because of the house. We had dinner together the night before the crash. He said you were pretending for appearances. And you believed him?" I wanted to. At least that was honest. "How long?" I asked. 8 months. Ethan had admitted to 4. "Did you know he was married when it started?" "Yes." Rachel leaned back. "Then why are you here?" Vanessa looked at me. "Ethan said you're filing a complaint with the hospital." "I am." "You need to withdraw it." "No." "If the hospital investigates, they'll question me too." "You were his patient that night." "I work for the hospital foundation. This could end my career." "You're worried about your career?" "I didn't alter your chart. But you knew he was ignoring me. I told him to check on you. And then you left with him." Her face tightened. "He said you were stable." "Ethan says whatever protects Ethan." She pulled an envelope from her purse. "There are messages between us. Some of them prove he knew about the crash before you arrived." Rachel reached for the envelope, but Vanessa held it back. "What do you want?" Rachel asked. Claire withdraws the complaint. I give you the messages and stay out of the divorce. You think this is a negotiation over a man. It's a way for all of us to move on. No. Moving on is what you do after a breakup. What happened to me was medical negligence. I didn't cause that. You helped him hide it. Vanessa stood. You're going to ruin him. I rose more slowly, one hand against my ribs. He nearly let me die. You still survived. The words sounded worse in her voice. I opened the door. Now I understand why he chose you. Her face changed. You both think survival erases what you did. She left with the envelope. The next morning, Noah called. Do you have a minute? Yes. Hospital risk management contacted me. They know I reviewed your timeline. Are you in trouble? No. But Ethan is claiming I influenced you to file the complaint. I hadn't even met you before the crash. That doesn't matter to him. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. I'm telling you because he may make this personal. He already has. I told Noah about the divorce filing and Ethan's accusation that I was sleeping with him. Noah was quiet for a moment. That's ridiculous. It's also convenient. I'll give a statement to your attorney. You don't have to. Yes, I do. I treated you. I saw the delay. I saw the altered entry. My eyes burned. Why are you helping me? Because what happened was wrong. Most people seem more worried about Ethan's career. That's because careers have titles and salaries. Patients are easier to ignore. I smiled despite myself. Can I buy you coffee when this is over? His answer came gently. Claire, I care about what happens to you, but you're still recovering, and you're in the middle of a divorce. I know. I don't want you to look back and feel like you escaped one relationship by grabbing onto another. The rejection should have embarrassed me. Instead, it made me trust him more. Coffee as friends? I asked. When this is over. That sounds fair. 3 days later, I submitted the formal complaint to the hospital and the Illinois Medical Board. By noon, my largest client canceled our design contract. The client's message said they wanted to avoid personal controversy. Rachel called 5 minutes later. Don't open social media. I already had. A local gossip account had posted a photo of Noah and me leaving Rachel's office after he gave his statement. The caption read, ER doctor's wife accuses husband after secret meetings with his colleague. Comments appeared faster than I could read them. She planned the whole thing. Probably wanted the surgeon before the crash. Women will destroy a man's career for money. My phone rang. Ethan. I answered. Take it down. I didn't post it. You sent them the photo. You have no proof. You're trying to discredit me. I'm telling people the truth. You're spending a lot of time with Bennett. He gave my lawyer a witness statement. Call it whatever you want. You cheated on me, emptied our accounts, accessed my medical records, and now you're calling me unfaithful. His voice dropped. You wanted a war. Claire. No. I wanted a divorce. Same thing. I looked at the photo again. Noah was holding the office door while I walked carefully beside him. There was nothing romantic in it. Ethan had taken one ordinary moment and turned it into evidence against me, just like he had turned my pain into instability, my treatment into addiction, his affair into my failure. I deleted the social media app and opened the folder Rachel had created for evidence. Bank transfers, medical audits, phone records, hotel charges, the altered chart. Are you still there? Ethan asked. Yes. Then listen carefully. Withdraw the complaint. And this stops. I saved the gossip post to the folder. No. You have no idea what I can do. Neither do you. I ended the call. Ethan wanted everyone to believe I was the villain. That was fine. Villains didn't beg to be believed. They gathered evidence. The hospital offered me $200,000 to stay quiet. Rachel read the agreement while I sat across from her. They'll pay your medical bills, she said. They'll also cover lost income for 6 months. What do they want? She turned the page toward me. You withdraw the complaint. release the hospital from liability, and agree not to discuss Ethan's treatment of you. So they're buying my silence. They're calling it a confidential resolution. A hospital attorney named Mark Collins folded his hands. Mrs. Sullivan, litigation could take years. This allows you to move forward. Does Ethan keep practicing? Mark hesitated. Dr. Sullivan's employment is a separate matter. That means yes. The hospital takes patient safety seriously. Your doctor changed my chart. That allegation has not been proven. I pushed the agreement back. Then prove it. Mark's voice cooled. You should consider how public attention may affect your recovery and your business. Rachel leaned forward. Was that a threat? It was practical advice. I stood carefully. My husband already used my medical records against me. He emptied our accounts and accused me of having an affair with the surgeon who saved me. I'm done accepting practical advice from people protecting him. Mark looked at Rachel. The offer expires Friday. It expired when you asked me to lie. I said. The hospital hearing was scheduled for the following week. Before it began, Ethan requested mediation in the divorce case. He arrived with his attorney and acted as if we were discussing a business contract. His attorney said, Dr. Sullivan is prepared to restore half the funds removed from the joint accounts. Rachel laughed. He took all the money. Returning half isn't a compromise. Ethan looked at me. I moved it because you weren't stable. I'm stable enough to divorce you. You're enjoying this. Enjoying what? Watching my career fall apart. You did that yourself. His attorney interrupted. Let's stay productive. Ethan slid a document across the table. I'll pay your medical expenses and give you the house. Rachel read it. In exchange for a mutual non-disclosure agreement and withdrawal of all professional complaints. I looked at Ethan. You still think this is about money. I think you want to punish me. I want the truth recorded. You want everyone to know I cheated. No. I want everyone to know you ignored a trauma patient because your girlfriend wanted your attention. His face tightened. If you keep pushing, I'll prove you and Bennett were involved. You can't prove something that didn't happen. I can prove you met him outside the hospital. He gave Rachel a statement. You had coffee with him. Once. In the hospital cafeteria. You text him. He checks on my recovery. Ethan leaned closer. People believe what makes sense to them. A bitter wife leaving her husband for another doctor makes sense. I held his gaze. So does an arrogant doctor altering a chart to save his promotion. His attorney called for a break. Ethan followed me into the hallway. You need to stop. You first. I can still protect you from this. I turned to him. Protect me? The press will tear you apart. Your clients will leave. People will question everything you say. They already are. That gets worse if you testify. Then maybe you should tell the truth before I do. He lowered his voice. If you walk into that hearing, I will make sure everyone knows about your history of anxiety. I don't have a history of anxiety. You saw a therapist after your father died. For grief, you were prescribed medication. For 3 months. You think strangers will care about the difference? I felt the old fear rise. The fear that Ethan knew how to define me better than I knew myself. Then Rachel opened the conference room door. Claire, don't let him turn a threat into a diagnosis. Ethan stepped back. Rachel faced him. You accessed her records without authorization. Mention them again, and I'll add another complaint. The hearing began 2 days later. A panel of hospital administrators sat across from Ethan. Noah, Nurse Kayla Brooks, Vanessa, and me. Ethan testified first. I was treating a patient with chest pain. He said, I was not responsible for my wife's triage. The panel chair, Dr. Helen Price, asked, Did you examine Mrs. Sullivan? No. Did you review her vital signs? Not immediately. Why not? I believed another physician had taken responsibility. Noah spoke from beside me. No physician had. Ethan looked at him. You weren't in the ER when she arrived. I reviewed the audit. Doctor, Price raised a hand. Dr. Bennett, you'll have your turn. Ethan continued. Claire was awake and speaking clearly. She has a tendency to become emotional under stress. Rachel wrote something on her legal pad. I whispered, There it is. She nodded. Let him keep talking. When Kayla testified, Ethan's version started to collapse. Doctor, Price asked, What were Ms. Blake's vital signs? Normal. Kayla said, Temperature 99.1. Oxygen saturation 99%. No respiratory distress. Did she require a private treatment room? No. Who requested one? Dr. Sullivan. Ethan interrupted. She reported chest tightness. Kayla looked at him. You told me to put her somewhere comfortable because she was important to the foundation. That's not what I said. It is. Doctor. Price asked, What happened when Mrs. Sullivan arrived? I told Dr. Sullivan his wife had been in a major collision and was complaining of abdominal pain. What did he say? Kayla hesitated. Please answer. Doctor. Price said. Kayla looked directly at Ethan. He said, Claire always gets dramatic when she wants my attention. No one spoke. Ethan leaned toward his attorney. She's lying. Kayla's voice shook, but she continued. He changed Mrs. Sullivan's triage category from urgent to stable. I questioned it. He told me he knew his wife better than I did. The system audit confirmed it. Ethan's login had been used to lower my priority level. His login had also been used to add the note claiming I refused imaging. Doctor. Price asked him, Did you enter this note after surgery? I completed delayed documentation. Were you present for the alleged refusal? I understood that she wanted to wait for me. That was not the question. Ethan's attorney whispered to him. Ethan finally said, No. Then Vanessa was called. She had ignored Rachel's messages for days. I expected her to protect him. At first, she did. Ethan believed Claire was stable. She said, He was only trying to reassure me. Doctor. Price asked, Did he know his wife had been in a serious crash? I don't remember. The hospital attorney placed printed messages in front of her. One had been sent before I reached St. Matthew. Ethan, Claire was hit by a truck. She's conscious, so she's probably fine. I'm not leaving you alone. Vanessa's face went white. Did you receive that message? Doctor. Price asked. Yes. Did you ask him to examine his wife? Vanessa looked at Ethan. He stared back at her. Yes. She whispered. What did he say? Her voice nearly disappeared. He said Claire exaggerated when she wanted attention. Ethan stood. This is ridiculous. She's saying whatever protects her job. Doctor. Price ordered him to sit. When it was my turn, Rachel squeezed my hand. Tell it in order, she said. Don't argue with him. I took the seat. Doctor. Price asked, Mrs. Sullivan, what do you remember? Everything. I told them about calling Ethan from the wrecked car. I repeated his words. Are you conscious? Then wait for the paramedics. I have a patient. I told them how long I waited in the hallway and how I saw him rubbing Vanessa's back. Ethan shook his head. That isn't relevant. Doctor. Price said, You will not interrupt again. I continued. I told him my stomach was getting worse. He said Vanessa might have pneumonia. When I tried to stand, I collapsed. My voice broke, but I kept going. I was less than 50 feet from my husband. Every breath hurt. I called his name, and he looked at me. I turned toward Ethan. Then Vanessa called him, and he turned toward her. He looked away first. I'm not asking this hospital to punish him for cheating. I said, I'm asking you to act because he used his authority to delay my care, changed my medical record, and expected me to lie so he could keep his promotion. Ethan's attorney asked, Mrs. Sullivan, are you romantically involved with Dr. Bennett? No. Have you met him socially? Once. For coffee. After he agreed to give evidence. Do you have feelings for him? Rachel objected. I answered anyway. This hearing is not about who I might love someday. It's about the husband who decided my life was less important than protecting his affair. The panel ended the hearing an hour later. By evening, Ethan had been suspended from clinical duties. The hospital opened a formal investigation into the altered record. The state medical board requested the entire file. Vanessa was placed on administrative leave. That night, Ethan came to Rachel's apartment. He knocked until I opened the door with the chain still fastened. "You won," he said. "This isn't a game. They suspended me. You knew that could happen." Vanessa changed her story. She told the truth. She betrayed me. I stared at him. "You really said that to me?" His face crumpled. For a moment, he looked like the man I had loved during residency, the exhausted young doctor who used to fall asleep at our kitchen table. "I lost everything today," he said. "You still have your life. Don't. That's what you told me." He put one hand against the door. "I made a mistake. I panicked. I was afraid the affair would come out. So you let me wait. I didn't think you were dying. You didn't check. I'm sorry. I had imagined those words saving something inside me. They didn't. Withdraw the medical board complaint." He said, "The hospital has already punished me. There it is." "What?" "The real reason you came. I'm asking you to show mercy. You had mercy available in the ER. You gave it to Vanessa." I started to close the door. He shoved his hand through the gap and grabbed my wrist. "Listen to me." Pain shot up my arm. "Let go. Not until you stop acting like I'm a monster." I reached into my pocket and pressed the emergency button Rachel had programmed on my phone. A recorded voice announced, "Emergency services have been contacted." Ethan released me. "You called the police?" "You wouldn't let go. I'm your husband. Not for much longer." Sirens sounded a few minutes later. Ethan stepped away from the door. For the first time, he looked afraid of consequences. I closed the door before the officers reached the hallway. He had spent years teaching me that love meant protecting him. That night, I finally understood something else. Love without safety was not love, and I was done calling fear a marriage. The divorce was supposed to be simple after the hospital suspended Ethan. It wasn't. At our final settlement conference, his attorney placed a financial statement on the table. "Dr. Sullivan's income has been significantly reduced," he said. "He cannot agree to Mrs. Sullivan's demands." Rachel glanced at the document. "Your client claims he has less than $9,000 in liquid assets." "That is correct." I looked at Ethan. "Where did the money go?" He didn't answer. His attorney said, "Medical bills and legal expenses have created financial hardship." Rachel opened another folder. "Then perhaps Dr. Sullivan can explain this." She pushed a property record across the table. A condominium in River North had been purchased 8 months earlier by a company called ESV Holdings. Ethan's face changed. Rachel continued. "The down payment came from a marital investment account. The company's mailing address is Dr. Sullivan's office." His attorney turned to him. "You told me there were no additional properties. It was an investment." "For whom?" I asked. Ethan stared at Rachel. "How did you find that?" "That isn't a denial," she said. I picked up the purchase record. The amount taken from our account was almost exactly what my father had left me when he died. "You used my inheritance. It became marital property when you deposited it into the joint account. You told me we were investing it in our retirement. The condo was an investment. Did Vanessa choose it?" Silence. I already knew the answer. I remembered a message from Vanessa in the evidence file. "The kitchen is perfect. I can't wait until we don't have to hide anymore. You bought her a home." I said. Ethan finally looked at me. "I intended to rent it out." "Stop lying." His attorney asked for a private conference, but Ethan waved him off. "You filed for divorce. Why do you care?" "Because you bought your mistress a condo while telling me we couldn't afford to repair our roof. That house was never good enough for you. I paid for half of it. You always kept score." "No, Ethan. I kept trusting you." "Rachel kept score." Rachel almost smiled. The property was added to the marital estate. The judge also ordered Ethan to return the money he had removed from our accounts. He called me that night. "You're taking everything." "I'm taking half." "You got the house. You got the condo. I may lose it to legal fees." "That sounds like your problem. Do you hear yourself? You've become cold." I learned from a doctor. He ended the call. 2 weeks later, Vanessa lost her job. She sent me a message. "I hope you're happy. Ethan has nothing now." I typed 3 different replies and deleted them all. Finally, I wrote, "Neither of you lost anything because of me. You lost it because the truth came out." She never responded. The state medical board issued its decision the following month. Ethan's license was suspended pending ethics training, psychological evaluation, and a full review of the altered medical record. The hospital terminated his employment for patient endangerment and falsification of documentation. Diane called me as soon as the decision became public. "You destroyed my son." I held the phone away from my ear. "Your son changed a patient's chart. He was trying to protect his career. That's the problem. He saved hundreds of lives. That didn't give him permission to risk mine. You were his wife. I was also his patient." Diane began crying. "He has nothing left. He has a medical degree, a condo, and a family that still excuses him. He has more than most people. He loved you. No, he loved what I did for him. You'll regret this when you're alone." I thought about the silence in Rachel's apartment after the police removed Ethan. For the first time in years, that silence had felt safe. I'd rather be alone than invisible. I blocked her number. The final divorce hearing lasted less than an hour. Ethan sat across from me, wearing the suit I had bought him for his first attending interview. His attorney reviewed the settlement. The house would be sold. I would receive my share of the equity and repayment of the funds taken from my inheritance. Ethan would keep the condo after compensating me for half its value. He would also pay my medical expenses, not covered by insurance. The judge asked, "Mrs. Sullivan, do you believe the marriage is irretrievably broken?" "Yes." Ethan looked at me. The judge turned to him. "Dr. Sullivan?" He hesitated. "No." His attorney touched his arm, but Ethan kept talking. "I made mistakes. I don't believe 7 years should be erased because of them." The judge said, "The petitioner is not required to remain married against her will." "I know. I'm asking to speak to my wife." Rachel whispered, "You don't have to answer." But I wanted to. The judge allowed us 5 minutes in a conference room. Ethan closed the door behind us. "You look better," he said. "I am better. I heard you started working again." "Yes." He nodded as if he still had the right to approve of me. "I think about our first apartment," he said, "the one with the broken heater. I remember. You slept in 2 coats so I could study for boards. I remember that too. We were happy. We were struggling together. I thought that meant we were a team." "We were." "No, I was on your team. You were on your own." He swallowed. "I loved you. I believe you loved me in the way you knew how." "That sounds like something Bennett told you." "Noah doesn't talk to me about you." "So you're seeing him?" "That's none of your business." Pain crossed his face. After everything Ethan had done, part of me still hated seeing him hurt. That was the hardest truth to accept. Leaving someone didn't erase the love. It only meant love was no longer enough. "I can change," he said. "I hope you do. Then give me a chance. I gave you 7 years. One more." The last chance was in the ER. He closed his eyes. "Claire, I called your name. You heard me. I was afraid. So was I. I didn't know how bad it was. You chose not to know." He reached for my hand, then stopped. "Was any of it real to you?" "All of it was real to me. That's why it hurt." The bailiff knocked on the door. Ethan looked desperate. "If you walk out, this is over." "It was over when I was bleeding and you turned toward her." I opened the door. The judge signed the divorce decree 10 minutes later. Outside the courthouse, Ethan called after me. I could move away. We could start over somewhere nobody knows. I turned around. You still think leaving you is my punishment for what you did, isn't it? No. I took a breath without pain for the first time since the crash. Leaving you is how I stopped punishing myself. 6 months later, Noah met me outside the rehabilitation clinic after my final appointment. How does it feel? He asked. To be officially cleared? To have no reason to see a doctor every week? Terrifying. He smiled. You'll adjust. We walked toward the parking garage. I owe you coffee, I said. You do. And dinner. Dinner sounds less medical. There are rules. He raised an eyebrow. Already? No hospitals. No lawyers. No discussion of Ethan. That removes most of our shared history. We can make new history. He opened the passenger door for me, but didn't touch me. That small restraint meant more than Ethan's grandest apology. Is this a date? Noah asked. One dinner. And after that, we take it slowly. I can do slowly. I believed him. The crash had left scars across my abdomen. For months, I had hated them because they reminded me of the night my husband chose another woman. Now they reminded me of something else. I survived the crash. I survived the surgery. I survived the man who taught me to question my own pain. Ethan ignored my injuries that night. Filing for divorce was the moment I stopped ignoring them too.